Imagine this for just a moment. What if someone could peer directly into your private thoughts? Would that make you feel uneasy? Honestly, it should. And here's the surprising part. This isn't just some far-fetched fantasy. It happens far more often than most people realize. That strange ability has a name. It's called clairvoyance. At its essence, clairvoyance is the ability to perceive things that aren't right in front of your eyes. Sometimes it means glimpses of the past, sometimes a clear awareness of the present, and other times visions of what's still to come. Now, here's where things start to get really interesting. Clairvoyance itself isn't automatically good or bad. It's neutral. The outcome depends on the person using it. On one side, clairvoyants have been able to help locate missing people, assist police with solving crimes, or simply bring comfort to those who are struggling. But there's another side of the coin, too. Stepping into the spiritual realm opens a door, and not everything that walks through that door is friendly. There are unseen entities, some benevolent and supportive, others manipulative or even harmful. The kind spirits can guide and encourage, but the darker ones may try to twist, deceive, and use the person for their own purposes. That's why the real danger doesn't lie in clairvoyance itself. It lies in the mindset of the individual. If someone allows ego to take the wheel, the ability becomes corrupted. It stops being a pure tool for clarity and instead turns into a mirror reflecting selfish wants and distorted desires. Contrary to what some people may have heard, clairvoyance isn't reserved for a tiny handful of gifted individuals or a mystical elite. It's not some rare superpower given only to a chosen few. Instead, it's something every single one of us has the potential to access. The key lies in turning inward. Through steady meditation, honest self-reflection, and learning to accept emotions without judgment, we start to peel back the layers and open portals to deeper clarity. Think of it less like borrowing a skill from somewhere outside of you, and more like uncovering a natural ability you've always had. When you cultivate calmness, openness, and humility, that inner vision begins to awaken. And this isn't an exclusive journey. It's available to anyone who's willing to drop the weight of ego and allow stillness to guide them. Once that happens, clearer perception of both yourself and the world becomes possible. That's a milestone any sincere seeker can reach. Of course, not everyone is on board with this idea. Some people dismiss psychic phenomena entirely. They claim it's all superstition or pseudoscience. For centuries, the ability to see beyond the five senses has been dismissed as fantasy, delusion, or mysticism. But here's the truth. Clairvoyance isn't about spinning fairy tales. It's about a heightened awareness, a sensitivity that, in one way or another, all of us have brushed up against. Take dreams, for instance. Every person, from the youngest child to the oldest adult, experiences dreams. And in those dreams, something fascinating happens. Our minds break free from everyday boundaries, weaving stories and symbols that stretch past time and space. It's almost like, while asleep, we temporarily tap into a deeper, more profound vision, one that's normally hidden during our waking hours. Think back to your own dreams. Have you ever stopped to wonder what they really mean? Dreams are like delicate threads spun from the mysteries of the subconscious. Each one is a doorway into deeper layers of the human mind. They're not random. They act like magical lenses, giving us quick glimpses into the unknown, where psychic perception and symbolic storytelling intertwine. When you step back and really examine it, you start to see that every dream is like diving into an ocean of symbolism. In that ocean, time and space don't operate the way we expect. Psychic vision acts as a light in this world, shining into the hidden corners of our unconscious and helping us decode the messages that arrive in those nightly stories. The Rosicrucians, a mystical order with their own teachings on spiritual perception, hold a unique perspective on this. They believe that psychic consciousness is directly tied to our sensory experiences: sight, sound, touch, and feeling. But in their framework, those senses aren't just tools for interacting with the outside world. They're gateways to deeper understanding. Each sensory experience is a signpost pointing us toward a broader, more expansive level of perception. And here's something crucial to remember. This ability isn't rare. What makes it seem rare is that most people ignore it. Like any skill, if you don't practice, it weakens. If you reject it, it goes dormant. But nurture it. Give it attention and practice, and it grows stronger. So how do we actually develop and refine this perception? Step 1 is letting go of our overdependence on the physical eyes. From birth, we're conditioned to believe that seeing with our eyes is the only real way of perceiving reality. As long as we cling to that belief, we're standing in our own way. That belief itself is the biggest barrier to authentic psychic vision. Once we begin loosening that grip, the resistance, both mental and physical, starts to dissolve. That opens the path. From there, nurturing the ability becomes a matter of practice. Meditation, visualization, breath work, and cultivating inner stillness. All of these exercises reactivate something that's already within us. At its core, clairvoyance is simply the capacity to gather information without depending on the conventional senses. In parapsychology, it's defined as perceiving objects or events beyond ordinary limits of space and time. And here's the fascinating part. It isn't some external gift given to a select few. It's built into the human design. As we evolve spiritually, this ability naturally begins to surface, allowing us to explore questions most people never dare to ask. What happens before birth? What happens after death? What exists in the dimensions we can't normally see? Within this exploration, two main categories of clairvoyance show up: voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary clairvoyance, sometimes called positive clairvoyance, happens when someone intentionally chooses to open this inner sight. With practice, a person may visualize past events, sense present realities, or even glimpse possible futures. They might perceive people, places, or objects far beyond the reach of normal vision. And here's the key: practice. Like building any muscle, developing voluntary clairvoyance requires repetition and dedication. Techniques such as meditation, focused visualization, and specific psychic exercises strengthen this ability. Over time, those who practice learn to control it, not just for spiritual insight, but also for practical purposes like making clearer choices and gaining a deeper understanding of themselves. The second category is involuntary clairvoyance, often called passive clairvoyance. This one works very differently. It doesn't arise because someone set out to trigger it. It happens spontaneously, without warning. And while that might sound intriguing, the reality can be far more unsettling. Involuntary clairvoyance often appears as sudden images, sensations, or intuitions that crash into a person's awareness without their consent. Imagine going about your day when, out of nowhere, you see visions or feel impressions you can't explain. For people who don't understand what's happening, the experience can create anxiety, stress, or even confusion about their mental health. For some, it becomes overwhelming. This kind of clairvoyance may be triggered by natural sensitivity, powerful spiritual experiences, or even trauma. But regardless of the cause, the result is often the same. The individual feels out of control, caught off guard by a force they didn't ask for. Now, let's go a little deeper into where these experiences might actually come from. Many spiritual traditions point to something called the serpentine force, more commonly known as Kundalini. This is often described as a coiled energy resting at the base of the spine. Think of it as the vital life force of the body, closely connected to intuition, creativity, and spiritual awakening. When Kundalini energy stirs and rises up the spine, it begins to activate what are known as chakras, the body's energy centers that align along the spinal cord. As this awakening takes place, the person often experiences a shift in consciousness, an expanded awareness that brings new perception. And one of the natural byproducts of that awakening is clairvoyance. This is where the concept of the third eye comes in, located in the center of the brain. The pineal gland has been considered for centuries as a spiritual organ, an inner eye of intuition and extrasensory perception. When this eye opens, the individual begins to perceive reality in ways that extend beyond the limits of the physical senses. People often describe it as life-altering, as though the filters that once kept their perception narrow suddenly fall away, allowing them to see the world in a more complete and connected way. The link between Kundalini rising and the third eye opening is powerful. As the energy climbs, it sparks shifts in awareness, and with those shifts, new forms of perception come alive. For some, it's like stepping into an entirely new dimension of existence. But here's the thing. Most clairvoyants don't just wake up one day fully developed. Instead, they usually go through years of gradual development, practicing and refining their abilities until they can use them with stability and clarity. That slow, steady process is what separates them from mediums. Mediums often experience their abilities as sudden, intense bursts, sometimes without much training or preparation. So, how do we tell the difference between a medium and a clairvoyant? On the surface, the two might appear similar. Both claim to access realities beyond the ordinary senses. But the key differences lie in where the information comes from and in the intention behind it. A medium functions as a channel. Their purpose is to communicate directly with spirits or entities from the spiritual realm. They act as a bridge between the living and the departed, often relaying messages from loved ones who have passed on. Their source of information is external, coming from beyond themselves. A clairvoyant, by contrast, draws on inner perception. Their insights flow from their own psyche, their own intuitive faculties, or their ability to perceive subtle energies in the physical and spiritual environment. Their intention is usually focused on knowledge, guidance, or self-understanding, rather than serving purely as a messenger for the spirit world. Both roles can be valuable, but the distinction matters. It's not just about who they are talking to, but about how they interact with these unseen dimensions and what purpose it serves. Now let's address a critical question. How do you actually protect yourself from unwanted influences while developing or experiencing clairvoyance? Because opening up to these higher states of awareness isn't without risks. This is where the teachings of Max Heindel, founder of the Rosicrucian Fellowship, become incredibly insightful. Heindel emphasized the importance of building inner protection against obsession and negative influence. the moments when malevolent forces might try to gain control. First and foremost, he stressed the power of the mind. Keeping thoughts pure, positive, and uplifting creates a strong line of defense. Dark, destructive thinking lowers your vibration and acts like an open invitation to harmful energies. But when you maintain positivity, compassion, and clarity, you raise your frequency to a place where negativity struggles to take hold. Second, he spoke about the value of prayer and meditation, and not in a forced or mechanical way, but in genuine, heartfelt practice. These acts strengthen your connection to higher spiritual forces, creating a natural safeguard. Prayer becomes less about asking for favors and more about aligning yourself with divine support. Meditation, meanwhile, quiets the restless mind, helping you maintain balance and harmony even when your awareness expands. And perhaps the most powerful protective tool of all, love. When you radiate love and compassion toward all beings, even those who feel like enemies, even spirits that may seem dark, you create a shield. Love vibrates at a frequency that negative entities simply cannot penetrate. It's like shining a light so bright that shadows have nowhere to hide. Rosicrucian teachings also emphasize the protective aura. This is described as an energy field that surrounds the human body. When your aura is strong and clear, it naturally pushes away harmful influences, functioning almost like an invisible shield. To strengthen the aura, practices such as conscious breathing, relaxation, and visualization are recommended. Imagine a field of radiant light wrapping around you, guarding against negativity and maintaining balance in both body and mind. This leads to another important clarification. Developing clairvoyance isn't a matter of blind faith or religious devotion. According to these teachings, it's about freeing the mind from limitation. It's not about believing in something outside of you. It's about realizing the truth of what already lives inside. And when you really think about it, that's a liberating message. It means that anyone, regardless of background, culture, or spiritual belief, has the ability to explore this inner vision. The question isn't whether the capacity exists. It's whether you're willing to do the inner work to awaken it. If any of this resonates with you, there's a simple action you can take right now. Drop a comment that says, "It makes sense to me." That small step lets me know these ideas are landing with you, and while you're at it, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future explorations into these fascinating topics. Now, let's step back for a moment and ask, what is clairvoyance really teaching us? At its heart, this ability isn't about flashy displays or paranormal theatrics. It's about cultivating a deeper vision of reality itself. It's about realizing that sight isn't limited to the physical eyes. Think of it like learning a musical instrument. Anyone can pick up a guitar, but if you never practice, you'll never play it well. Clairvoyance works the same way. If you ignore it, it remains dormant. But if you nurture it through meditation, breathwork, visualization, and reflecting on your dreams, it starts to awaken. Over time, it sharpens, clears, and becomes a meaningful part of how you experience life. And the transformation doesn't stop at seeing what others can't. Clairvoyance is ultimately about changing yourself. As you quiet the mind, connect with inner stillness, and release the grip of ego, you begin to see life differently. Decisions feel clearer. Relationships become easier to navigate. Challenges that once felt overwhelming now appear as lessons you're equipped to handle. In this sense, clairvoyance evolves from being a mystical ability into something much more practical, a natural extension of true self-awareness. Here's another point people often overlook. Psychic perception doesn't always arrive as grand, dramatic visions. More often than not, it shows up in small, ordinary ways. It might be a gut feeling that saves you from making a poor decision. It could be a dream that nudges you toward an opportunity you hadn't considered. Or maybe it's a sudden moment of clarity about a problem you've been stuck on for months. These subtle glimpses are just as significant as the larger, more theatrical experiences. The real challenge is trust. Learning to trust what you perceive, even when it doesn't line up with logic in the moment, is one of the hardest parts of the journey. That doesn't mean abandoning reason or common sense. It means allowing intuition and inner perception to stand beside logic, to complement it, rather than being pushed beneath it. Over time, as you practice, you get better at knowing when to listen and when to let go. But we need to be clear. Opening yourself to higher awareness doesn't make you immune to risks. Anytime you expand your perception, you open doors. Some of what enters will be enlightening, uplifting, and helpful. But other times, it can be confusing or even harmful. That's why grounding practices are so essential. Meditation, prayer, breath work, visualization. These aren't just exercises, they are anchors. They keep you centered and balanced, preventing you from being swept away by whatever comes through those open doors. And here's a critical reminder. Clairvoyance is not about escaping reality. It isn't about running away from life's struggles or hiding in visions of the future. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's about engaging with life more fully, seeing with a clarity that slices through illusion, recognizing patterns you might have missed before, and using that knowledge to make wiser, more compassionate choices. For some people, this path will mean actively developing voluntary clairvoyance. They'll dedicate time and energy to practicing techniques that help them see beyond ordinary limits. For others, the journey may be about learning how to handle involuntary experiences, sudden flashes of perception, without fear or panic. Regardless of the path, the underlying purpose is the same: self-discovery. When you strip away the mystery, clairvoyance is really a reminder that human beings are far more capable than we often admit. We are not bound by just 5 senses. We are not trapped in a purely physical reality. At our core, we are spiritual beings, layered with awareness that is waiting to be awakened. So, the invitation is simple. Start with yourself. Pay closer attention to your dreams. Spend even a few minutes each day in meditation. Practice stillness. Cultivate love and compassion. And then notice what begins to shift inside of you. Over time, those small, consistent practices accumulate. Your perception sharpens. The path becomes clearer. The inner vision grows stronger. Perhaps the greatest gift clairvoyance offers isn't about predicting the future or uncovering secrets of the past. Its real gift is allowing you to see yourself as you truly are. Beyond ego, beyond fear, beyond the limitations you once thought defined you. That kind of vision changes everything. So here's a thought I want to leave you with. Clairvoyance isn't something out there that you need to chase. It isn't a prize reserved for the rare or the chosen. It's already within you, waiting quietly. The real question is, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to practice? Are you willing to grow into it? If this message resonates with you, let me know in the comments by simply writing, "It makes sense to me." And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because what we've explored here is only the beginning. There's so much more ahead on this journey of higher perception, deeper awareness and unlocking the incredible potential of the human spirit. Together, let's keep uncovering what's possible. Because the truth is this: clear vision doesn't belong to a chosen few. It belongs to all of us.